we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
All right, welcome to episode number whatever this is of the Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. So, man, yeah, as per, life gets in the way. I'll tell you something, dude. I was talking about I want to buy a German BMW. So I did, man. I did. I'm very fucking stoked. It's not here yet. It's not. I'm getting it delivered. And I'll tell you, dude, like, you know, you hear everybody talking about, like, you got to be ready for the apocalypse, bro. The apocalypse. Yeah, I can dig it, but it's like I can only get so ready. And then, you know, it's like this idea of, like, you got to be prepared to live in the woods and eat trout at every meal and make your own socks and this shit. And it's like, yeah, okay, if you're ready to do that, good. But if you're going to go and just start doing that, I feel like, you know, all right, then they win, right? The globalists win. Because what happens then, man, is like you're just living in a cabin someplace, not talking to anybody. So I'm like, you know what, dude, I got the loose change for it. Fuck it, I'm getting this piece. So, yeah, I'm getting that ironed out here in the next couple weeks. But the deal was, and this is, I was going to record yesterday, and this is where things got fucked up, was I'm buying it from this place in, a few time zones away. And I've talked about on previous episodes, like, how I like to buy shit on credit cards. Not like I just like to buy shit on credit cards. I mean, I like to run all my purchases through credit cards so that I get whatever, you know, points or miles or whatever is being offered, and then I just pay it off at the end of the month. So it literally doesn't cost me anything, and I get free shit out of it. So I did that with this, and I called this dude, and I called this place, and I said, hey, dude, I'm interested in this vehicle. And I said, but I want to know, would it be cool if I could just buy this thing outright, like I'll pay the full price on a credit card? And if that's cool, you know, great. If not, then we'll talk about it. Maybe we arrive at a deal. But if you're good with it, I would really be into it. And the guy's like, yeah, we can do that. I'm like, fuck yeah, sweet. So I just buy this thing, buy it outright with a credit card. And then a couple days later, so like I'm starting to work out shipping right now, like it's a couple days later and it's yesterday. And this dude calls me and he's like, it's this Indian fucking guy too, dude. And it was fucking classic. It was incredible. So this Indian fucking guy calls me and he's like, hello, I work in the finance department at such and such place. And he's like, there is a problem with the transaction. And I'm like, there's not a problem, dude. And he's like, no, you have to understand, we can only accept $3,000 in credit card. The rest has to be in cashier's check. And I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, look, dude, I paid this thing all the way on credit card. He's like, no, I will refund you the amount. I will refund you your credit card, but then we have to have a different form of payment, you understand? And I'm like, okay, well, here's the thing, guy. So if you're going to refund me money on a credit card, then that money's just going to sit there. Like, I'm going to have this huge block of money just sitting there on this credit card that I can't spend because, I can, but it's like, you know, whenever I go use whatever I use a credit card for, and it's just going to sit there. And now I'm supposed to then come up with another way to pay for this, you know, or I borrow money to do it. And I'm like, I'm not going to pay interest on money that I could just as easily use to pay for this car, you know, because you don't want to accept it off a credit card. I'm not doing that. And he's like, but you know, a credit card is much higher interest. How you can afford this one? I'm like, hey, dickhead, it's the end of the month. I paid it off yesterday. It's totally paid off. He's like, you paid it off? I'm like, yeah, dipshit, that's what I fucking said. Go back and read the fucking email chain. I'm not planning to pay interest on this thing. And he's like, well, I don't know, you know. And I'm like, look, let me hold your hand through this. I said, in America, you see, in the place that you have invaded, the way that contracts work, and this is good for your own knowledge as well, is, and again, detail here, I'm not a lawyer, and even if I were a lawyer, I wouldn't be your lawyer. These are just things that I've learned by virtue of being an old man. So where you have a contract, this consists of an offer and consideration. So if you were to say something like, hey, I have, a free BMW that I will just give you if you show up and you can take it. And somebody shows up and they're like, where's the BMW? And I'm like, I gave it away already, right? And then they try to sue you. Well, then it doesn't work like that, dude. Like it's already gone. There's nothing that you gave me that I'm not owning up to here. But a situation of offer plus consideration, the offer is, I will give you this if you give me that. That is the offer. The consideration, this is the part that the other person gives you. So say you were going to buy, a fucking hat for $20, right? And somebody says, I have this hat. I'll sell you this hat for $20. And you show up with $20 and you're like, here, and they take your $20. They have accepted your consideration. Now they owe you a fucking hat. That is the fucking news. You cannot come later and say like, well, actually, like, you need to give me also, $5, because I see like that was, it was easy for you to afford. I should have charged more. No, you can't do that. You can't say, I'll give you this hat, and then they instead substitute like a set of socks. Because I've had this happen too, where you go to buy something and you say, all right, here's this thing, and you go, all right, here, and I give you the money for this thing, and now they go, all right, well, the thing is, the one that you bought is actually gone, but if you're cool with this other thing, no, I'm not cool with that other thing, dude. This is the way that contract law works in America. I give you this thing, you owe me this fucking thing. And you can follow up on that. And what you will find, especially with higher end things or things that involve, some, I don't know, how can you say, a few different cogs and levers, like a house or a car. These fuckers will try to fuck you around like this. So this dude tried to fuck me around and like, okay, well, no, because we're going to refund to this card and then you have to pay in some other way. And I talked to one dude who worked in auto sales, and this hadn't really occurred to me, but apparently it seems to be the case, that when people sell a car, you think you're like, yeah, I'm going to give you this money right up fucking front, and you're not going to have to fuck around. There's no, there's nothing to it. There's a big chunk of money. Now you're happy. No, they don't want that. What they want is that fucking interest. They want you to finance that shit. So when you're a fucking African who finances a Nissan Altima for like 96 months at 10% interest or whatever the hell they're doing, that's a fucking huge win for them, man. That's a monster win. Because instead of paying, whatever a Nissan Altima costs, I don't fucking know, 10 grand, who the fuck knows. But instead of paying that, you're going to wind up paying like 20 grand. You're going to wind up paying a shit ton more than what you would have paid for this thing because of all the interest involved. So it appears, if I was a betting man, it appears that that's what happened here. Is like this guy fucking knew, like if you refund this guy his credit card, he's not going to have that money in his hand. It's going to sit on that card. That negative balance is just going to sit on that card. And now he's going to have to come up with that money from somewhere else. Well, where else will he come up with it? We can loan it to him at interest. And I'm like, it's not happening, friend. I gave you money. You took money. You owe me a fucking car. And it was like, all right, okay. Well, I have to talk to the owner. I'm like, I recommend you talk to the owner. And then talk to the legal department. And I gave him like the Reader's Digest version of like, you offered a car. I provided you money. You owe me a fucking car. So there we all are. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked on that though. I had to spend part of yesterday holding people's hands through this thing, but I am pretty stoked on this. I'd send you pictures of it, but I'm not doing that, man. You know this. I'm not posting any of that kind of shit. But looking at the other shit that's going on out there, dude, wild times, man, wild times. I guess some of the highlights, the Russia-Ukraine thing, like, dude, this shit is still going on. I guess, well, to summarize, I saw an Instagram comment that I think summarizes this very, very succinctly. And the dude just says, so let me get this straight. Jew Putin and Jew Zelensky are on, like, what is it, year 3 of getting white men to kill each other, and now we're pulling Western Europe into the mix. And I'm like, that is about the size of it, dude. I mean, that is about the size of it. And I've heard some back and forth on whether or not Vladimir Putin is Jewish. The looks of that dude, he's got that very East Bloc like white/Chinese looking thing fucking happening. I've heard speculation. I've heard some talk that, yeah, his mother, this, that. I can't say for sure, man. I really do not know. Whether he is or not, though, I mean, I've seen enough pictures of this guy with these Jews, and I've heard enough talk. I've heard more than enough talk of, we don't espouse racial hatred. We're fighting these Nazis. I thought it was a troll for the longest time. I thought they were like fucking around, because I do know that like the Ukraine, like they have that Jewish Nazi fetish thing going, man, where like Azov Battalion, like it is pretty much old news that those people were, and I think it is were at this point. I think they've all been pretty much smoked. But these people were Israeli funded. These organizations were Israeli funded, but it was super LARPy with the National Socialist imagery, with the broken crosses and the black suns and the whole deal, man. And it was like, it was this feel of like, it's not just a cool logo, but it's like, no, look, bro, we really roll like this. I'm like, okay, what part of your country or your organization is actually National Socialist? Like, name me one thing about what you're doing that is National Socialist, because I can't think of anything apart from the little logo, apart from the patch, which means fuck all. I mean, it could be a fucking dinner fork. It could be a spark plug with a happy face on it. You could still be like a real solid National Socialist. You don't have to have the logo. The logo does not make the organization. It's the organization that makes the logo, which, if you give a fuck, is why those logos are essentially illegal at this point, because of how effective the organizations that they represent were in fighting these Hebrews. So looking at this this Ukraine-Russia thing, then it really is, that's about the size of it, man, is like there's two big kosher pushes to basically eradicate as many white men as possible in this area of the world. And it appears from everything I'm hearing that there is a lot of coin clipping interest moving into Ukraine pretty much around the clock. They're like, oh, look, real estate's opening up, Goy. Let's get right in there. So, you could debate a lot of like the hows, the whys, the what have yous, but what is actually happening? What do you see playing out? Because to me, that's where your money is, dude. Like, that's where the proof is don't tell me about what you meant, what you intended, what you were thinking, what you suggest, what you actually were trying to say, where you misspoke, any of that shit. I'm not interested in any of that. Show me what actually happened. Show me what you actually did and what actually was the fucking result. Because if I'm being honest, I think I've heard pretty much enough of like, oh, it's just government. Everything's so incompetent. Whoop-de-doop-de-doo. All this crazy stuff just always happens. I don't fucking believe it anymore. It's always a big fucking accident. And then surprise, whoopsie-doodle. And then a bunch of your money ends up in their pocket. And a bunch of your friends end up dead. And it's like, I'm starting to think this is not the accident that you're telling me that it was. I don't believe you anymore. So the situation as it is then, I mean, to talk about your long way around the bush, right? But the situation as it is, as I'm understanding it then, is that there had been some talks in Istanbul to look at, can we put together a ceasefire, some kind of a deal, some kind of something. And it does not appear that Ukraine at present is interested in taking any of these deals. So a lot of what's being looked at right now is, I think one of the first things that came out was that Russia is demanding that essentially the international community, which for intents and purposes means NATO, like, hey, fuck sticks, like, you need to recognize this. They're talking about recognizing that Crimea now belongs to Russia, that it is Russian territory. That's it. That's all. That's the news. I couldn't say where the little mineral rights debate fits into all this. because I believe, if I remember right, that Zelensky did sign this mineral rights deal giving the U.S. Rights to minerals, rare earth minerals in Ukraine in exchange for the $250 billion of your fucking tax dollars that got coughed up and essentially funneled to whatever villa in Spain those fucking clowns were putting together. That was my understanding, but I'm inclined to believe that was really more of an effort to like ward off Russia, to say, look, we have business interests here. It doesn't have to be military, but we can protect our business interests. And I think Russia just kind of came with the look of like, yeah, dude, I don't give a fuck about that anymore. Moving on in that direction, though, Russia has, I don't know, they've always talked kind of tough, but I think they've also been kind of patient because they know that the U.S. is, well, the West in general, is trying to suck them in. Because, you know, if you will, the U.S. needs these fucking wars, man. These people need these wars. This economy is shitting the bed in grand style, and they need these fucking wars. So if they can get a real good-looking, solid World War III going, if we could just get this fucking World War III, bro, things are going to go our way. But people just haven't been buying it. And where we're at now is that the UK, Keir Starmer, cocaine enthusiast that he is, this guy has been talking, most recently he put out that the UK is now shifting to a wartime footing, that they are preparing to go to war. I don't know how fucking true this could possibly be, because you can talk about like, we have an economy, we can buy weapons, we can support whatever the fuck you want to support. But who the fuck are you going to send? The fucking Pakistani transplants? I mean, this is not, that's not even a B squad, dude. I mean, that's a rough fucking lineup, dude. Like, can you imagine that shit? Like, you're going to send a bunch of fucking Pakis to fight the fucking Russians. And you know what? I will tell you that, I haven't never worked against no Russians. I haven't really met, maybe a handful, but just the vibe I get looking at how they do business, how they've conducted this war, and what you see guys talking about, what you see people saying, the impression I get is that their approach to warfare is a lot different than the Western approach to warfare, where these fuckers, their mindset is that like, yeah, our equipment, our stuff, our people, like, they're not too bright. Our equipment is not too refined, but we'll grind it out through the mud, through the snow, whatever the fuck it takes, we will fucking do it. We will be there. And they're basically willing to just do the war of attrition type thing and gut it out as long as it takes. The U.S., on the other hand, I mean, dude, we're dealing with, Africans and diversity hires, women calling the shots and such, which also necessarily means that if you don't get them results in a timely fashion, then, voting mama back at the house, old mama bear back at the house, she got an eye on politics, she know what's going on, that she's going to start voting a different kind of a way if she doesn't see quick and flashy results. So the U.S. way of doing war is geared more towards that. Where like, hey, we need results yesterday. I need something with a lot of bells and whistles. I need something that makes a cool whooshing sound when it flies by. So we don't have that. This bitch is going to vote the other direction next time. How this plays out, going down the road, if this turns into a shooting war, which for reasons I'll get into in a minute, it appears increasingly likely, as it has appeared, for a while now, and I've been saying like increasingly likely, it feels like for a couple years now, but it is like this slow fucking march. But compared to years ago, like, I can't believe we're not fucking fighting already. Anyway, though, what the fuck was I talking about, man? I can't goddamn remember. Well, I'll tell you this. The thing that I think is kind of driving a lot of this right now is this deal that just happened called Operation Spiderweb, that was a Ukrainian joint, a Ukrainian effort whereby they smuggled a shit ton of drones into Russia, and they're talking about like, Ryder trucks, flatbed trucks, this kind of shit, like smuggled in a fuck ton of drones and then launched them all out a few days ago and did this in an attempt to cripple Russia's aviation capability. So to take out a lot of their strategic bomber capacity. The deal here, though, is that, okay, so for one, it's mixed reviews on how well this went, right? There's Ukraine saying that Russia's strategic bomber capability is essentially decimated. It's in tatters. Okay, good. That's fine. But what else, bud? Russia, talking about this thing, is saying, yeah, there's some superficial damage. There's like 2 people killed, but nothing really, nothing major, though. Nothing that can't be fixed. Okay, are both of these exaggerations? Yeah, very possibly. However, knowing that, even by Zelensky's own words, see, here's the rub, here's the part that gets my attention on this, is that when you've got a trick that works, you don't fucking talk about how you did it. You go and you do it again. If he had more rabbits in the hat, right? If he had smuggled other shit into the country that he was going to be planning to wheel out to say like, yeah, hey, you saw what I just did? I got more of that. You don't know how I fucking did it, but I'm going to fucking do it again. You need to come to the bargaining table with something better than what we've talked about so far. That would get somebody's attention. That would be a decent bluff, if you had done that. But he didn't even do that. He comes right out talking about this is how we did it. It took a very long time to put in place, but we managed and we have a great success. So, dipshit, what you're essentially saying, and this is where I think being a fucking amateur, and yeah, he's been, bunny ears president for a few years, but still a fucking amateur. This is where having no experience really bites you in the ass. If you had any idea what the fuck you were doing, you would have kept your mouth shut. But instead, what you're basically coming out and saying is like, well, there was my trick. That's the only trick I have. I won't be able to do it again because that's why I'm telling you what I just fucking did. Because if he was going to do it again, he wouldn't fucking tell you, right? Instead, he's coming out and telling you, yeah, here's what I fucking did. That's basically the last rabbit I have in the hat. So now what, really, is the next question. So now what, dipshit? So you blew up some airplanes. Let's just say you blew up a good number of strategic bombers and you put a real kink in Russia's strategic bombing capability. Okay, cool. What else did you do, though? They did, on top of this, I guess, a bunch of, no shit, what you would have to consider terrorist-style attacks against infrastructure, against civilian infrastructure, and apparently killed more than a few civilians. This, again, amateur night, major fuck-up. Because by all rights, everything I've heard is that Russia's negotiating position has been that we will leave Ukraine as an intact country. They want to obviously green light, Crimea is ours, no questions asked, that's the end of it. The regions that wanted to separate from Ukraine and join Russia, that was going to be another no question thing. And then their bunny ears denazification and or demilitarization and agreeing that they're never going to be part of NATO. And I think that was about going to be it. Then they pull this shit. And it's like, well, what now, dude? What now? You were in a pretty decent bargaining position. You were probably in a better bargaining position than you deserve. And you fucked it up. So if you look at it, now you have to ask yourself, what is really behind this? Well, for my money, again, more dead white men. That's what's behind this. And I think if I had to take some wild-ass guess type thing, the situation with the UK, where the UK is talking about, yeah, we're going to start stepping up on a wartime footing type of a thing, is that the UK is in bad fucking shape, dude. I don't know the specifics of how bad their economy is, but you cannot bring in that many dirty third worlders and house them and care for them. Because, dude, the shit that they get away with there, that's really, we have our Mexicans, right? We have our Mexicans and Guatemalans and this kind of shit. But usually, even when they come with a wife, it's only one wife. And if they come with a lot of kids, the big Mexican Catholic family or whatever, it's still only one family. These motherfuckers that roll into UK are rolling in with like 2 wives and 20 kids. And they do this shit. I've seen them do this shit. I've gone on fucking targets where it's like 2 or 3 wives and a stack of fucking kids, all living in fucking squalor. And you're like, what the fuck is this about? But again, and you've seen the same videos I have, they're talking about like, yeah, dude, it's going to be a couple generations, but I'm willing to sacrifice because I'm going to breed you out. I'm going to take over this country. It's going to be a Muslim country. It's going to be new Pakistan, the new caliphate, and fuck you. And people are just like, oh, well, what choice do I have? I guess I got to pay for a house for him. So I think, if I had to take a wild-ass guess, that there's probably some kind of a tit-for-tat leverage piece in there whereby you're saying, England, you're going to be the ones who start this fucking thing. You're going to wade into this bullshit. And once it kicks off, you know, assuming we win, then whoever, the U.S., the rest of Western Europe, we're going to take care of you on the back end. Which sounds like a shit deal and probably is a shit deal. But if you're England, it's probably the best deal you can get. You know, if you're the new caliphate, that's probably as good as it gets for you. All right, so moving along, man. I wanted to hit on this thing that went on with Stu Peters, which, big deal, not a big deal, a quasi big deal, kind of interesting. Anyway, there was supposed to be an event for USS Liberty survivors. So if you don't know what USS Liberty is, dude, if you're listening to this, you probably know what it is. But long and short, this was a situation where the Israeli military deliberately targeted a U.S.-flagged naval vessel in international waters. And all of the radio communications were captured. And the whole deal was, yeah, man, sink that ship at all costs. Oh, are you sure? I think that's American. Yeah, I don't give a shit. Sink it. They kept attacking. It was the middle of the day. They fired at lifeboats. They fired at survivors in the water. I think it was like 36 people killed, something like that. So this was a fucked up deal. And the investigation that happened following this was headed by none other than an Admiral McCain, John McCain, you know, former Israel shill and now dead Arizona Senator John McCain. That was his father. So you can kind of see where the fucking bread is buttered. You know what I mean? So he was Israel's goy. They hooked up his dipshit kid who, by every account, like this guy was an absolute fucking slipknot. Crashed a plane. This is John McCain now, not Admiral McCain, but John McCain crashed a fucking jet during training. Was fucking around on the deck of the USS Forrestal. And this was a big time safety video for a long time. The Forrestal fire. So the situation is that John McCain, fuckhead, was doing what's called, I guess, a wet start, where they would pump a bunch of gas into the engine and then fire it up, and then it would shoot a fireball out the back of the jet. So this guy did this, and it lit off a missile on a jet that was like parked behind him. That jet went across the flight deck, struck like another aircraft or some kind of a thing, and just fucked a bunch of things up, man. A bunch of guys got killed, and it was real fucked up. But that, again, got swept under the rug. John McCain continues on. Then he gets shot down, gets put into a POW camp, ends up coming home as a hero, but I guess among the POW community. And understandably, this is, I guess, a very closed-off community. Like, I was never a POW. I don't personally know anybody who was a POW, but apparently this is a very closed community. Like, they don't talk about their business, shit that went on, shit that they had to, you know, compromise on or had to suffer through or any of that shit. And honestly, it ain't nobody's business. But as I hear it, they refer to this guy as Johnny Songbird, because this guy would say and do whatever the fuck was asked. Like, whatever you need, man, I'm your fucking boy. Another guy, Admiral James Stockdale, and I can't remember what's named after him. There's something named after him, because this guy was basically a fucking baller, I guess. But this guy got shot down. And to kind of show you the two ends of the spectrum here, and I do mean spectrum, there was a deal during the Vietnam War where they were going to parade a whole gaggle of American POWs out there and have them answering questions and giving press conferences. And basically, you can kind of get an idea for what a pussified country America had become. You know, like, we're going to march your fucking guys out here. They're going to answer questions about what a piece of shit they are and this kind of thing. And America's just going to kind of sit there and take it. So they were doing this shit. They had this all planned out. And they're like, yeah, we're going to bring you there, James Stockdale. You're going to do this thing. This fucking guy is like, yeah, I know you're fucking not. So he took this stool that was in his cell and beat the shit out of his own face so that he was too fucked up to appear on TV. So, yeah, that should kind of give you an idea, you know. So, like, you're John McCain, like, yeah, they fucked my shoulders up. Okay, dude, that sucks. I'm real sorry they fucked your shoulders up. And I'm not going to try to say that I would be the big dick baller and fucking gut it out and spit in their face and bust my own face up. Or maybe I would totally puss out. Who's to fucking say, right? You never can tell. But what I will say is that if I did puss out, I sure as fuck wouldn't be out there running for Senate, sucking my own dick, talking about hooray me, hooray America, we got to get more money to fucking Israel. Fuck that noise. I think I'd probably be like, hey, Dad, what kind of fucking help is this, guy? Like, you hooked me up so I could go get in another fucking war for these Jews and get my shoulders torn up and get put in a POW camp and all this shit? And then I got to still keep tap dancing? What the fuck is going on? But no, man, no balls. No fucking balls. So anyway, back, you know, to where we started. There's supposed to be this this event for USS Liberty survivors. Honor these guys, talk about what happened, this kind of thing. And the deal was like, oh, we don't want to make it political. Like, motherfucker, it's exactly political. What the fuck do you want? How is shooting your bunny ears greatest allies fucking flagged vessel in international waters not a political incident? Know what I mean? And then, you know, capitalizing on it and like, no, yeah, we did it, but, you know, somehow it was your fault. There's a misunderstanding. You know, let's just, we're going to cover this up. It was just no big deal, right? How the fuck is this not a political thing? But so they're going to have this event. Stu Peters, who you might or might not have heard of, you probably should have heard from him. He's one of the more outspoken, our guy type, host type things. He was going to appear at this thing, and apparently, you know, and I guess this happens quite a bit, these organizations get pressured, and, you know, like Jonathan Greenblatt, you know, picks up the phone, and it's like, hey, we don't want you to fucking have this guy, this is terrible, it's anti-Semitism and this shit. So the VFW then reaches out to Stu Peters and is like, yeah, no, you can't be here, dude, you're banned from this location because you're an anti-Semite. So you're going to ban this guy for speaking out against the people who killed your, what do you say, fellow sailors. You're going to kill, you're going to ban this guy for saying something bad about people who killed your friends. What the fuck is that? You get the fuck out of here. So I listened to a thing, you know, Stu Peters was having some commentary on this, and I listened to some of this on the InfoStormer podcast. Good news product, really good stuff. But I listened to this, and he was understandably a little bit spun up. And, you know, I don't blame the guy. It's a real motherfucker, this situation. But he was talking a little bit, and he was talking about, you know, people say to me, like, hey, we appreciate what you're doing. You're a hero and this. And he's saying, I'm not a hero. You know, you shouldn't be going around thinking that, you know, oh, I'm talking, I'm doing something. And it was kind of the same thing that we've heard, you know, more than a few times. That, hey, you're just talking, you're just on the internet, you're just sharing memes, you're just chiming in, you're whatever the fuck, you're not really doing anything. Unless you fucking get out there and you hold genuine fucking force my will on a motherfucker type power, then you're not really doing anything. So while I do respect a lot of what Stu Peters says, again, I'm going to suck my own dick here and say that as a dude who has been downrange, what the fuck is this shit? I will tell you that what you are doing, even if you are just commenting at the bar, chiming in conversation, speaking up beside the water cooler, anything and everything you do has fucking merit. You are doing something. And here's why I'm saying, like, about the aspect of going to war. Because people will say, like Mao says, like, true political power comes from the barrel of a gun, right? So, yeah, I'm not a fan of communists, but I am a fan of solid observation when it's there to look at. And there is merit to that idea that if you're going to say that I'm going to force a motherfucker to do things my way, then you do actually have to have some kind of a way to force him. But what I think people misunderstand is the idea that force has to always be just physical fucking break your head open for you, shoot you in the fucking head, fucking force. That is not the case, man. I will tell you first fucking hand that being ready to just go through the door or go over the wall with a gun in your hand, that has its place, dude. And that has, bunny ears power behind it. But that is not the end all be all. Because on any side of the fence, whether it's Iraq and Afghanistan or Syria or here in the US or even stupid Canada that's not a real place, who is the motherfucker that is the most fucking feared? The lone wolf? Sure, okay, people worry about that. But it's not that one guy, because if you smoke that one guy's idea is gone. All right? Screw your optics, I'm going in, this fucking guy, right? Okay, yeah, nobody wants to fucking walk down the street worrying that this shit could happen to you. Valid concern, right? But again, once that guy is gone, his idea is gone. The most dangerous motherfucker out there is the guy with a fucking idea that makes sense. When motherfuckers hear it and they're like, the guy's got a good fucking point, that is the most dangerous motherfucker on any battlefield. I shit you not. And I can't tell you the whole fucking story, but one of the dicier situations that I was ever in centered around going after a motherfucker that was really nothing more than a fucking pep rally guy. Just a fucking commentator, just a fucking influencer, if you will. A fucking Al-Qaeda influencer. That was it. But they wanted this motherfucker and they wanted him bad. This guy didn't have tactical knowledge. This guy was not physically stacking bodies, but this guy was talking it up and getting people fucking motivated to get out there and get their jihad on. This motherfucker was feared and he was top of the fucking list. We got to get this fucking guy. Now that, again, is not to discount any of these other things. Because when you look at something like going to war, you look at like this motherfucker out here on his fucking book tour or whatever with like, I shot bin Laden, this kind of shit. Anybody who's worked in this fucking business, the first thing they're going to say is like, well, who the fuck are you, dude? Like, what about all the other people? What about the guy who flew the helicopter? What about the rest of the guys in the fucking stack? What about the fucking intel bitch, allegedly some intel bitch, right? Who the fuck knows who it was, that found the guy's fucking compound? What about the source handler that got the fucking guy's driver or gopher or whatever to dime out that he was actually the guy there? What about all these fucking people, all right? So in a lot of ways, this is like looking at a fucking car and saying that one wheel is more important than the others. You gotta have all these fucking wheels. All right, you gotta have somebody that'll go over the wall, that'll do the fucking dirty, nasty deed when the time comes that like, yeah, motherfucker, you thought I was bluffing, this is fucking happening. Oh shit, you gotta have that fucking guy. Yeah, okay, what else do you gotta have though? You gotta have somebody to steer the ship and say, this is the time for this, that is the time for that. This is what we're doing here, we're not doing that over there. Not yet, not whatever, okay? You gotta have that. You gotta have somebody putting all the puzzle pieces together. And you gotta have somebody getting everybody fired up and motivated over whatever the fuck it is we're doing here. Because I will tell you, when shit gets fucking hectic, when it's fucking raining sideways and you're freezing your fucking ass off and your fucking socks are wet and your ass is fucking itchy because you've been sitting there soaked for fucking 3 days, it's gonna take a little bit more than like a fucking flag or some abstract, vague fucking concept about why you're so goddamn miserable. You're gonna have to give me a little something more. And that's where that person comes in. You gotta have that fucking person. So again, on this business of like, oh, you're just talking, bro, that doesn't do shit. Dude, that's a big fucking wheel on this car. You need that shit. So if all you can bring to the table is a comment or 2 cents or chiming in at the water cooler or just saying, no, dude, I am not going to fucking vote this way or that way because I'm not giving money to these fucking coin clippers. Just saying that, just doing that. Like Edward Snowden said, you just bring your little piece of the puzzle, your one little brick, and if that's all you have is that one brick, bring your one brick and just stack it over there. And if that's all you can do, that's fine, man. But you just do your one little part. And the guy behind you will do his one little part. And behind him will do his one little part. And eventually you're going to get this thing built. But what you can't fucking do is say, like, oh yeah, what I'm doing over here, this doesn't mean shit. Fuck it. I'm not going to fucking even bother. That is fucking bullshit, dude. If all you got is a half a fucking brick, get with another motherfucker who's got a half a brick and get your fucking bricks laid down. Can you dig it? I mean, dude, this shit actually gets me fired up, you know, because I have had enough of motherfuckers, you know, on the operational side that are like, I'm the fucking shit and that guy over there doesn't mean fuck all. The guy fucking pumping gas into the fucking helicopter, you need that motherfucker. That motherfucker is critical. Who's going to pump that gas? You think I'm fucking doing it? I'm not pumping that fucking gas. I'd fuck it up. I don't know how to do that. I need that fucking guy over there. So this business of like, oh, this shit is important, that shit over there ain't shit. Yeah, some shit is a little more specialized. Some shit is a little harder to get good at. But this business of like this, that, or the other doesn't fucking matter. That, gents, is fucking bullshit, and I will not fucking abide it. So again, man, whatever your fucking piece of this puzzle is, man, if it's designing fucking t-shirts, if it's chiming in on the weekends, if it's running your mouth at the bar, if it's just discouraging motherfuckers from doing something stupid, if it's forcing yourself to throw up every time you see a single mother of a mixed race child, anything to discourage this kind of filth behavior, whatever the fuck it is, keep fucking doing it, man. And if you find a way to get a bigger brick, well then good on you, man. Get more bricks, good on you. Do that. But whatever the fuck you do, don't fucking come in here talking about, oh, whatever I was going to do doesn't fucking matter. Dude, there ain't enough fucking people to go around where we can start talking about like, oh yeah, you ain't got to come into work today. Motherfucker, you're on the clock. Get the fuck in here. All right, with that said, the thing I want to wrap up on is this this deal that I saw with, I think it was Tommy Lauren, fake fuck, not exactly fucking conservative, talking bimbo, fake tit mouthpiece, right? And I guess the clip that I saw and or heard was on faux news, fucking Fox-ass news. And the deal was that this chick is up here talking about, yeah, you know, women, they want to have families. They want to get married. They want to settle down. We don't have enough people having kids in this country. We need people having kids, but we don't have people having kids. And why is that? Well, man, it's because of men, is what this broad says. It's because of men. Now, look, I'm willing to give women a free pass on a lot of things because, one, women are very susceptible to media programming. And that's, you know, besides just being susceptible to it, that's where a lot of media programming is aimed, is straight at fucking women. And two, playing ball under the current narrative, you know, under the current policies, it gets a woman exactly what she wants. It gives her everything she's being told that she should have. You're going to get a real nice job. You're going to get a front row seat to college in whatever program you want, because we need more women doing X, Y, and Z. So we're going to hook you up. So, you know, women doing the things that they're doing, I don't completely blame them. And again here, I'm not talking about women in our thing, because women in our thing, honestly, huge hats off to them, because they're fighting up fucking hill. They're basically denying themselves all the real sweet free hookups that are being handed out here, in order to do what they know is the proper thing to do. So again, huge fucking hats off. That's incredible. It's incredible and impressive. I'm a huge fan, huge fan. Shifting back to the item at hand though, when you look at this this situation where this Tommy Lauren is talking about, oh yeah, women, they want to have kids, they want to, you know, whatever, get married, settle down, have families and this, but it's men, they'd rather just be unemployed, live in mom's basement, and this, like, no shit says that. The mom's basement thing. I never lived in a house with a basement. And why is it your mom's basement? Is you got a single mom? Is that what it is? And why, if you got a single mom, can she afford a house with a basement? What the fuck is this? I digress. Anyway, point is, this is not the fucking case. And the thing I wanted to kind of draw attention to is that one, first, No, women do not want to settle down. They do not, by and large, want to have families and be moms and wives and this shit. They have been programmed essentially from childhood to behave as harlots. And what I'm talking about here is the fact that when you look at the way women present themselves right now, the way women present themselves is like, all right, check this out. All of women's fashion, women's makeup, all of this stuff is designed to make women appear sexually available. All right, if you look at women's makeup, like the blush, all the eyeshadow, lipstick, this whole thing, all of this stuff is designed to give the appearance of sexual arousal. So the flush cheeks, the fuller lips, all right, all of this stuff is designed to mimic sexual arousal. All of women's fashion, right, the constrictive midsection, pushing up and expanding the breasts, accentuating the hips, wearing high heels so that your legs will appear longer than they actually are. All of these things are designed to give the appearance of biological markers that would indicate a good breeding opportunity, right? So this is a woman that's going to give you healthy offspring right here. And you can tell that because the smaller waist, the larger breasts, all of these indicators, right? That's what you're seeing here. Holy fuck, I am 10 shades of lost, dude. All right, well, whatever. So the situation you're presented with now is one where women are walking around nonstop presenting themselves as very sexually available, presenting themselves in a way designed to generate arousal, designed to get you spun up, while at the same time telling you that, like, yeah, I'm not interested in you. I'm not, even if I am interested in you, I'm not interested in just you. On top of this, the societal norms that we're dealing with is a situation where women can literally fuck as many dudes as they want. Now, just because of the biological realities of this, women should not be willing to fuck just whoever. And the biological deal there, like the evolutionary piece of that, is based around like, hey, if a man and woman have sex and pregnancy results, it's the woman that absolutely has to be there, right? Like in a normal setting. Like it's the woman that cannot get away from this. Like, you are the one who's pregnant. You can say all you want, like, oh, he's a man, he has to fulfill his this, that, or the other. Well, yeah, conceptually, but in reality, no, not really. A dude could just run off, you could get killed, any number of things could happen. But in the modern world, she can get an abortion, she can be on the pill. Any of these things can happen. You can use contraception. Any of these things can happen, all right? Further, there's the issue that women are always willing to share an alpha, but are never going to be happy with a beta of their own. So another part of why women are presenting the way they do is because they want to make that ass available to the highest quality man that she can get, on the off chance that she can seal the deal and lock up some kind of a, like, it's you and me type situation, right? So if she can lock that guy up for her very own, then that's good to go. If she has to share him, a high quality man, with somebody else, she'll do that. She won't be as happy about it, but she will do that instead of having a lower quality man all to herself. What this does to the dating market, or the marriage market, if you will, is it gives women, one, very unrealistic expectations. Like, how many of these videos have you seen where a woman is like, well, yeah, a guy's got to be making 500 grand for me to be, looking at a possible marriage type situation. I mean, when they're saying that, I think there's some misinterpretation where, like, is that your lowest number? No, obviously not. I think what this should be interpreted as is more like, if a guy's making 500 grand a year, I'm going to very, very seriously look at locking this deal down. And why wouldn't you? That's a shit ton of money. If the guy is in any way passable, right? If he's got to be at least a little bit intelligent. He's got to have something going for him. I mean, 500 grand a year, that would be a huge indicator, right? So yeah, that's very reasonable. But now what's your bottom number? I think for a lot of women, there's just too many variables to try to figure in there, right? What if he's really fucking good looking? What if he's really smart and really good looking? What if he's somebody you've known a really long time and you can really fucking trust him? How do any of these factors juggle in with the, how can you say, with the income situation? How does that figure in? I think a lot of women, and just with their inability to deal with what is money actually worth. And again, this ain't all women. I'm not talking about every fucking woman in the world, but by and large, right? The majority, we're talking about millions of people here. This is the situation for majority of women. They don't completely appreciate what is $100,000 a year? What is $200,000 a year? What kind of jobs make that? They don't have a realistic grasp on that. So it's really hard, I think, to expect them to, like, one, understand that, and then two, try to figure out how does that play into how you might feel about a completely hypothetical dude along all these other avenues. I think those are big intellectual shoes to fill for a lot of women, for a lot of people even, you know? You talk about some guy like, what's a woman got to have to, interest you in marriage? If you asked a guy that way, you'd hear about centerfolds and, she's got to be able to cook and this and this and that. But in reality, like, what do most men marry? The best woman they can get. That is what it is, right? So looking at this situation as it is, where I think it's gotten so fucked up, is that where an average woman in a sane world would be paired up with an average dude, an average income, average looking, average intelligence, average accomplishing kind of a guy, has every good reason to expect an average woman who is going to be for just him, right? He's going to be for her, she's going to be for him, everything's going to work out, all right? And not fucking fairy tale style, but I mean, on average, right? We're just be fucking sane here for a little bit. So this is how it should be in a sane world, right? But we don't live in a fucking sane world. Instead, we live in a world where a very average single mother that cannot cook and generates no income, can't converse about anything other than herself, has no hobbies other than taking pictures of herself and spending someone else's money, has some kind of an expectation that a literal Greek god with $1 million in the bank and a cock the size of your arm is going to come along and she's going to deign to give him a shot. What the fuck? One, it's just fucking insane, but two, and more importantly, it robs that average dude of a chance to have a woman, and even worse, it robs whatever kids they would have had out of a chance at even being alive. So whatever kids they would have and whatever they would have done, well, no, that's not going to happen because this broad's holding out for Mr. fucking Wonderful. What the fuck? And why are they doing that? Well, because they saw it on fucking TV. They've been fucking pimped this shit since they were fucking children. You're a princess. You deserve everything. You deserve the best. You're amazing. You're great. You're glorious. You're wonderful. And now, not to fucking boo-hoo for men too much, but goddamn, dude. Like, how much more can you dump on a guy? This is the situation, and I think you could say there's no arguing that this is the situation, all right? But whose fault is it? Oh, this is average man's fault. Like, how much more can you dump on the average fucking dude? Like, this guy hasn't got a fucking chance. Already, the cards are fucking stacked, right? This guy hasn't got a fucking chance. If you're an average white man, right? You're already getting shit on through high school. You're going to have a motherfucker of a time getting into college. You get into a college, you're going to have to dodge through all of those fucking seats that are set aside for women and coloreds. Even if you get one of those spots and you get out of college, now you're going to have to try to find a job. And I'll tell you something, I had done, when my business now, it was years ago and it was fucking wavering a little bit. And I was like, you know what, man, I'm just going to see what's out there. And I did a few online applications. And dude, I have a graduate degree. I have a fuck ton of real world experience. I have leadership experience. I have a lot of shit to fucking put on a resume. And I put this on here and I didn't even get like click fucking send. And it's like, boom, you do not meet any of our criteria. Thank you for considering XYZ Go Fuck Yourself Corporation. I'm like, fuck. I could have got on here with like, I have a high school diploma and fuck you, just give me money. Sorry, you didn't, but I can't help but feeling like if I wrote, yeah, Shaniqua, I'm a trans, crippled, illegal immigrant, and I want a CEO position because I feel like I bring a intestine perspective and shit, then probably I would have at least gotten one interview, right? But no, man, it didn't go like that. And I got a few of those like that, like a stack of like, yeah, no thanks, dude, no thanks. And I'm like, God damn, dude, I'm gonna have to make this business work, man, because otherwise I'm gonna be in bad fucking shape. But yeah, it's a real motherfucker, dude. So what can you do? I guess what can you do? If you're an average dude, I think, yeah, and most dudes are, hence the term, right? Fucking average. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with being average. Most people are. So if you are an average dude, though, what can you do, man? I think something that you can do is take encouragement at the fact that the bar is being lowered, in the sense that the average dude increasingly is kind of a fuck stick. Not too fucking bright, not too fucking motivated, not trying too fucking hard. And one upside of the U.S. turning into a shitbox third world country is that girls in third world countries are usually hotter, because they're fucking hungry and they need to go with what works. So you might someday aspire to be girl boss. You might be the next great female NASA engineer on the way to fake moon or whatever the fuck. But in the real world, where you need something to fucking eat, you can rely on one thing consistently, and that is being hot and being charming. So if you're not hot, you can get a lot hotter when you get a lot hungrier, because thin girls tend to look better, right? I mean, and that's just my 2 cents. I'm not chasing the fat bitches in here. It's not fucking Hippodrome. In that sense, though, yeah, man, I would say that don't be entirely discouraged, because the worse things get, the hotter the girls get. And if you can keep yourself above water just a little while longer, always just a little while longer, you got a good fighting fucking chance of finding yourself like just over the line in terms of like, yeah, dude, I am slightly above average. And that's when the hotties start rolling in, right? Makes sense. So with that, man, I am going to leave you to it. I'm going to get out of here. Hey, I want to thank Above Time Coffee again. Get your Above Time Coffee at abovetimecoffee.com. Support white businesses, or else I will find you. Also, too, you can try me at thegramniceguy.coffee. You can find this nonsense anywhere lower tier content is purveyed. Apple, iTunes, Spotify, even on YouTube still. And you know why it's there? Probably because nobody listens to it. Like, I just clicked the little thing, like, yeah, put it on YouTube. I don't care. Great, terrific. But yeah, it's on YouTube for the time being anyway. Also, of course, Telegram, t.me/The Abuse Hour, and associated chat, t.me/Rant Room. So until next time, I don't know what we're going to talk about next time. Could be anything. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully something interesting happens. Hopefully nothing terrible happens. I can give you a quick German BMW update, hopefully next time. Otherwise, keep your eyes on the horizon and keep your neck out of the noose. I've been Coffee, and these are my takes.